Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named Sewing Season in the Relationship Advice subreddit. The post is titled, "Ex-wife married my best friend. It's killing me and destroyed my marriage. I have been with my wife for 5 years and married for 4 years. We have 3 kids from her previous relationships. I really love her and her kids. Things were perfect until 3 or 4 months ago. I've had 3 big promotions in 5 years. We bought a house last year. She stays home with the kids and is trying to make a social media career happen. I have always been on the fence about having kids, but she really wanted us to have one together, so I agreed to try to have my vasectomy reversed. She's 7 months pregnant now. We were so happy. My ex-wife divorced me in 2019 and moved about 2 hours away a few months into the pandemic. Our divorce was amicable, but once it was finalized, I never heard from her again, even when I would wish her well on birthdays and holidays. I even sent her a graduation gift when I heard that she finished her PhD program. Other people in our social circle, including my parents and sister-in-law who sent her a gift, received handwritten thank you cards. I didn't get so much as a text. My ex-wife is a really kind and thoughtful person, and the woman I knew would have at least sent a thank you text if her worst enemy sent her a gift. Even though we broke up, I didn't think she hated me. My best friend and I were best friends since college. He's the best person I know, and at least 10 people think he's their best friend, but he said that I was his always. We kind of lost touch during the pandemic. We live 2 hours apart, and he is a lawyer and teaches classes at a university, so he is really busy. I have a really busy career and a new wife and 3 kids. I didn't really realize that the texts between us were fewer, and the last time he finally replied to me was in late 2021. He also falls off the face of the earth when he gets with a new girl, and then when things cool off, we all hear from him more. We have always been the kind of friends who could go an extended period of time without communicating and then pick up right where we left off. I kept saying that I would eventually call him when things were less busy. My wife and I went to visit the city he and my ex-wife live in last summer for a week, and I tried calling him a couple of times to meet up, but he never answered. I was sad, but just figured he was busy with work or obsessed with a new girlfriend. I have other friends there, so I got to see them. Then I went to the city again by myself in October for a Halloween party. I figured he'd be at this party, and I was psyched that I'd get to see him then. He was there. When I went to say hi and hug him, he looked a little surprised and gave me a weak hug. I told him that I was there during the summer and that I tried calling him so we could hang out. He just said, "Yeah, I was on my honeymoon that week. Sorry, I didn't get back to you." I was really shocked to hear that he'd gotten married and a little hurt that my best friend got married without me even knowing he had a serious girlfriend, but still happy for him. Like I said, he was a great guy and girls love him. I spit out a rush of questions like who she was, where she was, what her name was, what she was like, where they met, and how long they had been together. He paused for a moment and then just bluntly said, "It's ex-wife." My ex-wife doesn't have a unique name or anything, but it isn't the most common name either, and instantly I knew that it was her. I couldn't describe how it felt to hear those 2 words come out of his mouth. I felt sick to my stomach and immediately wanted to die. I had never felt like that before. I just said, "What the f?" He told me that I didn't get to be mad because I broke her heart, and they didn't start dating until 2 years after we got divorced. He said I chose to be with some waitress anyway. I drank the rest of the weekend because it was the only way I was able to sleep. I feel betrayed by both of them. My best friend since I was 20 years old married my ex-wife behind my back. I was married to her for 6 years and they were never even friends, and now they are in love with each other. I also found out that he talked trash about my current wife and me behind my back and never liked her. I went back home and I know that I was distant with my wife and the kids because I was just hurting so much. After a couple of weeks, we had a big fight, and she called me out on being distant and accused me of cheating. I finally came clean and told her about my ex and my best friend, which she scoffed about and said she'd known about them for a long time now because of social media. I flew into a rage and we fought for hours. She betrayed me by not telling me the entire time she knew. She didn't say anything when I mentioned my best friend not returning my calls or messages. I didn't get to sleep before going to work, and after work I just stayed with my parents for a few days. When I finally went back home, we got into another fight where she accused me of still being in love with my ex and said that I wouldn't care if I wasn't. I called her stupid and said that she wouldn't understand because she doesn't have any friends. I wouldn't care if my ex-wife got married to anyone else if it wasn't my best friend. I don't see what is so hard to understand about that. We made up eventually, but I feel sick to my stomach every day, and things aren't the same in our relationship. I love my wife, but I've come to realize it's not the same way I loved my ex-wife. My wife doesn't love me the same way my ex-wife did either. I have started to regret the things that led to our divorce because we were really happy until the moment she left me. I don't even have my best friend to call because he's too busy being with my ex-wife to care about me anymore. Everything feels empty and like a lie now. A lot of friends agree that they both betrayed me, but think I need to move on. Even my dad and brother told me to get over it. My sister-in-law yelled at me and my mom tries to comfort me, but I know she's tired of hearing about my problems. I have to pretend I'm okay, but I'm not. No one seems to care about mental health when it comes to men. I brought up couples therapy to my wife, but she said that she thinks we are okay since we worked through things. Guess I have to pretend for the rest of my life now because divorce is not on the table. I need advice on what to do and how to get closure. I am thinking of driving to their city to just show up and force them to talk to me so I can move on. Is that too much to ask? How do I get my wife to see that it is hard to trust her after knowing she kept a big secret from me for a long time? Update. The overwhelming consensus here is that I am a terrible person, which is true. The other consensus is that I need therapy. I asked my brother to help me, but neither of us even knows where to begin to find a therapist. He said he would ask his wife to help us, and she texted me this morning and said she was only helping because of my brother. I guess that's fair. Trillium Summer said, so 5 years ago, you divorced your wife and also started dating your current wife who was 21 when you were 32. So you cheated on your wife with a 21-year-old waitress you met. Now, you're mad years later because she married your supposed best friend, even though you admit you hadn't talked to him for 3 years. Then your current wife accuses you of cheating because, after all, she knows you cheat because you cheated with her. And because you're having some sort of delayed epiphany 5 years later that the grass isn't greener on the other side, but you're only having that epiphany because it's your best friend she married. But you're also upset that your wife knew something that was on social media and thus something you could have found out. Because ex-wives usually don't have the mistress as a friend on social media. Jesus, you're a mess. Dalton said, right, the timelines are making me think something big is missing here. It's 2024. You've been with your wife for 5 years and your ex divorced you in 2019, which is 5 years ago. I have to ask, did you cheat on your ex with your wife? It is February, so I imagine there is an overlap between you being in a relationship with your wife and your ex divorcing you. Your ex ignoring you and your best friend being standoffish and telling you that you broke her heart screams that you cheated. Your wife accusing you of cheating shows that she knows she married a cheater who is still obsessed with his ex-wife. I really don't know what you expect. You created this mess, so live with it. A deleted user said, advice on what to do. Get some therapy. You made your bed, so don't complain that it isn't comfortable enough. You are not the victim here. You cheated while married to your ex, so what she does now is absolutely none of your business. Your ex-best friend probably lost respect for you once you broke your ex-wife's heart. Have fun getting a restraining order put out against you if you do show up and try to force either of them to talk to you. Update. This is kind of an update to my last post a few months ago, and I am also hoping for advice on how to best navigate this. I have tried a couple of times to write this update, but I get stressed trying to make it all make sense, so I will just dump it all here and hope it comes out okay. I guess I should start by saying that I had and still have a lot more issues than my original post addressed or than I even recognized at the time. Therapy is helping me uncover a lot of it, and it's really uncomfortable on the good days and crushing on the bad days. So many people talk about how they feel so much better after going to therapy, but I feel worse. I'm still going to go though, because for as much as it sucks, it is helping me learn better ways of dealing with things. It is also helping me explain myself to myself a little better. Like, I am a flawed person, but I wasn't always a flawed person, and I am starting to see where it all went wrong. I feel like understanding that is the only way I can address those things and then become a better person. I did inpatient therapy, and after my release, I see a therapist in her office once a week and meet virtually once a week. I also see a psychiatrist once every 2 weeks and start on some medications. It's weird how I can kind of see them helping parts of my brain, but dulling other parts and making my body not feel the best. I try to explain it to the doctor, but he just tells me it is going to take some time for them to fully work and that eventually I will get used to it. My wife had the baby, but while I was away, she told me about the possibility of the baby not being mine. I grieved that so much, but I decided it wasn't much good dwelling on it too much right now until we knew for sure once she was born. The results came back last week and she isn't mine. We haven't made any decisions right now about our relationship, but are living together for the sake of the kids and her recovery from having the baby. She said that if I didn't want to be with her anymore, she'd go back to her home state with her mom and stepdad. She also mentioned that she knew she wouldn't get alimony or child support because of our state, but I told her I would help her get back home and on her feet if that's what ended up happening. Since I got back home, I have stepped up more and been more active as a dad, which has been really good for me. Being a responsible and present father helps me forget about all of the other stuff in the moment, but it would be a lie for me to say that I don't worry about how much it'll hurt to lose them if we break up, since they are not biologically or legally mine. I also just worry about them a lot and think they deserve to have a safe and stable, happy childhood. I'm really sad that the baby isn't mine. I wanted her to be mine more than anything in the world, but I find it really hard to be angry with my wife for some reason. I cheated on my first wife with her, so it's kind of karma in a way, and what could I really expect when our relationship started the way that it did? Plus, there's this other part of me that understands that she is a deeply damaged person like me. I don't really want to go into a lot of details, but we both lived through some similar traumatic experiences when we were kids that bonded us. Neither of us really dealt with it, but I thought that I was okay because I grew up privileged and she didn't. So I always had more opportunities than she did. I also thought that since I didn't think about it as much, I was okay. She thought about it all the time and she wasn't okay. My ex-wife is an amazing woman and she deserves to be happy. I sent her an email and just kind of poured my heart out about how sorry I am for hurting her. I would rip my heart out to give to her if it helped her heal from the heartbreak I caused her. I said in the email that I didn't expect a reply and that I would never attempt contact with her again after that. She got in contact with my brother a few times to check on me, and she's called me twice, and we talked for a few hours about everything. She's really happy and she's doing well. I'm proud of her and she deserves to be happy. I am really lucky that I had the years that I had with her, but now it is time to accept how I screwed up and try my best to do better going forward. I don't think I will ever contact her again, but would be happy to hear from her if she ever reaches out again. It still hurts a little, but I understand now that that door is fully closed. The door with my friend is closed too. We haven't spoken and we probably never will, but that's okay. I found out from other friends that he was always in love with my ex-wife and that he was the person who convinced her to move to where they live now after our divorce. I think knowing helps because the story I created in my head was far worse. I also understand now why no one wanted to tell me. My brother and I got close again, which his wife isn't the happiest about. I'm not sure where I would be right now if it wasn't for him. We invited them over during the weekend, and at one point, she and I were in a room alone for a few minutes. I told her that I was sorry, and she just hugged me and told me that I was stupid, but that she knows I am trying. I also have two really good friends who have been there for me through everything, even though they have been clear from the very beginning that they haven't agreed with my actions. All of them are more than I deserve. My relationship with my parents isn't in the best place right now. They are both really mad at me because my brother confronted them about what I told him related to the thing that happened when I was a kid. They feel like he is blaming them and that they did the best they could for me. I think they are really embarrassed too. I get it, and I don't really blame them. I don't think they knew what to do, but I am not going to apologize to them either. So until I do, they don't really want to be around me. I'm not sure that this is the update anyone wanted to read, but it's all I've got. My life is still very much in limbo, maybe even in shambles. But I am doing my best to fix it and to fix some of the hurts I have caused others. I would recommend therapy as much as everyone recommended it to me, but I would caution that it requires a lot of honesty to work, and sometimes that kind of honesty reopens old wounds. But those wounds are dirty and infected, so you've got to clean them up and treat them to get better, which is going to hurt. I'm not sure there is any other way. How do I make the best decision for the kids and for myself? Should I try to work things out with my wife, or would it be best to make a clean break? This next post was made in the same subreddit and was posted by a throwaway account. The post is titled, "My husband suddenly wants too much sex." So my husband and I met in college when I was 18 and he was 20. We got engaged after about a year and a half, and since I was waiting for marriage, we had sex for the first time then, and we were both virgins. Despite all the bad stories people told me about waiting, it was actually great after some practice. We officially got married after graduation, and our sex life has always been good, pretty much every night. But for the past 2 weeks, he suddenly wants it all the time, like 3 or more times a day. And don't get me wrong, I love sex with him and I have a good sex drive too, but I don't have that kind of stamina or time. Last night, he got upset when I said I wanted to sleep, and mind you, we already had sex twice earlier. When I jokingly asked what's with the libido increase, he just made some joke back and said it's the usual. This is really out of character for him, which is why I'm surprised. He has never been an extremely sexual person like most men I know. Do you guys know why this might be happening? Measurement Last said, people's libido can fluctuate a lot throughout life, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. But what's important here is that people's libido also frequently do not align, which is normal and happens in any long-term relationship. It takes respect and good communication from both sides to learn to navigate that. Him getting upset over you wanting to sleep after you already had sex twice that day feels manipulative and super demanding, not healthy anyway. You would expect that your no would turn him off, because who would want to have intimacy with someone who's not in the mood? I think it would be a good idea to discuss this at a different and neutral, calm moment. Approach it from a curious, non-judgmental point of view, but also keep in mind that you are fully valid in protecting your boundaries, and it should be emotionally safe to say no at any time. Also, if you don't feel like it for days or weeks. I Will Never Let You Know said, sex drive is determined by hormones, and hormone levels can fluctuate and be influenced by changes in the body or lifestyle. Even something as seemingly minor as regular and intense workouts can make you extremely aroused. Piss Baby said, as someone else said, for men, sex is a form of connection. I'm wondering two things: if he's just feeling more connected to you suddenly and doesn't realize it, or if he's feeling less connected to you and compensating for it. Either way, it will be a major red flag if he ever does not consider your feelings in the matter, does not give you the option, guilts you into it, or gaslights you into believing you're not doing enough. You have every right to say no as much as you want, and if he doesn't have the utmost respect for that, you must reevaluate your relationship. The answer here is to sit him down and tell him that whether he notices or not, you noticed. And you two have begun having sex 3 times a day, and you just want to make sure things are okay. If he's feeling alright, if he's feeling his usual connection to you, or if he's using sex as an attempt to feel closer. Edit. You all can downvote me, but OP said they don't have this kind of stamina and can't keep up, and he got upset when she tried to say she was tired. This is an issue for her. Stop treating this like it's something cute and positive for them. Update. Some of you commented saying it could be something shady like cheating or guilt, etc. I really didn't think that was the case, but my overthinking got the best of me. So last night I went through his phone. I know, not nice of me, but I was just so curious, and he doesn't even have a password. I wasn't even expecting anything crazy, maybe just a ton of porn or something. I found nothing weird though. While I was doing this, he woke up, looked at me all sleepy, and said, "Is that my phone?" I panicked and just said, yeah. He literally just mumbled, oh, rolled over and went back to sleep. In the morning, he didn't say anything about it, so I was like, aren't you gonna say something about the fact that I went through your phone last night? And he didn't even understand what I was saying. I reminded him and he laughed. He genuinely thought I was just watching a movie or show, so he didn't even notice I was snooping. At this point, I just told him everything. How I got paranoid, why I checked, how I was worried something was wrong. He got quiet for a second, then kind of shyly admitted that he thought I was enjoying all the extra sex, so he just kept initiating more. But the real reason, he said, was that he sometimes feels disconnected from me. He's very introverted, doesn't talk to many people, and keeps his circle small. Meanwhile, my entire job is social and I spend a lot of time with my coworkers. He admitted that sometimes he feels like I have this whole world outside of our relationship, and since he's not super talkative, he worries he doesn't always connect with me the way I do with others. Sex for him is one of the most intimate things we share, so in his mind, having more of it made him feel closer to me. I almost cried when he said this because I never thought of it that way. I reassured him that just because I talk to 1 million people a day doesn't mean I don't prioritize him, and we both agreed to make more of an effort to connect outside of just sex. More quality time, deeper conversations, little gestures. I also promised to communicate better if something is overwhelming me instead of silently suffering and then having a breakdown about it. Basically, I love him so much. This third post was made in the relationship advice subreddit by a user named FinPin. The post is titled, "My wife and I want to adopt our teenage foster daughter, but Phil is furious about it. My wife and I have 2 biological teenage sons, one older and one younger than our foster daughter. We have been fostering kids for many years, but the goal has always been to reunify the kids with their parents, which has happened successfully each time until now. 2 years ago, we took in our foster daughter, now in her mid-teens. She had been through a lot and was labeled as a troubled kid and not adoptable. I won't go into details, but the issue in this matter is that there are images of her circulating among a certain community from before we took her in. We were informed by authorities about all of this before, so it's not like this came as a surprise after we got to know her. I'm not going to lie, it has not been easy. Our family has seen us struggle, but almost everyone has been super supportive. The first 5 to 6 months were the hardest. She didn't trust us and she was angry at the world, rightfully so. Then one random night, I got up in the middle of the night and unintentionally ended up scaring her, and she had a full-blown panic attack. She was okay after a little while, but it was like something clicked for her that night. It was like she realized that we were on her side, and we watched her change from this angry and sad little girl to the ambitious young teenager we know today. It started with her telling us thank you for everything we did, small things like driving her to practice, and she said it with a smile on her face. It was so amazing to see her feeling better and not so lonely anymore. From there, everything changed. She made new friends and got a lot closer to my sons, especially the older one. Her grades went from failing multiple classes to getting straight A's, not because we were nagging her, but because she wanted to. Each member of our household has developed a good and strong relationship with her, and the love we have for this girl cannot be put into words. We've reached that cosmic connection. She still struggles with a few things, which is totally fair after all she's been through, but she is working on it, and we are supporting her in every way we can. Overall, she's doing amazingly well. She's so strong, and I'm very proud of her. We made the decision to fight the system to change their verdict from not adoptable to available for conditional adoption because we want to commit to her for life. We want to adopt her. Last month, we got the call that they changed their verdict, and we sent in our papers, which were already ready, and things are looking very promising. The thing is, we haven't told her yet. She knows that she is now adoptable, but we haven't asked her if she wants us to officially adopt her yet. My wife and I have talked to our sons about it, and they are fully on board. We talked to my parents, our brothers and sisters, and their spouses. All of them have a good relationship with our daughter, and every single one of them is so supportive of our decision and willing to fully welcome our daughter into our family. Then there is my wife's parents. My mother-in-law hasn't been awful, I guess, but maybe it's because I'm comparing what she said to what my father-in-law said. We told them about our plan and asked them about their opinion. My mother-in-law asked if we were sure, as our daughter doesn't quite fit in. My wife and I didn't understand at all since our daughter has a very similar personality to ours and our sons. But it turns out she's concerned about the visual side of it, as she's clearly not our biological child, and people will start asking questions. The thing is, my wife, myself, and our sons are very tall. Our daughter is not. She is tiny compared to us and has a similar eye color but not the exact same. All 5 of us have the same skin tone and colored and textured hair. Not that I think this matters at all, but the stupidity of it is unreal. Apart from height, she could pass as our biological daughter, so I'm starting to think this is a lame excuse for something else. I told her that people would ask questions no matter what, because even if our daughter was the spitting image of my wife, it's not like she suddenly gave birth to a teenager 2 years ago. And the answer to any question is very simple. She's adopted. It's not like it could ever become a secret now, so I don't get it. My mother-in-law didn't say much after that, but it was very clear she was not on board. My father-in-law hadn't said anything, but he didn't seem excited at all. I asked for his opinion, and he just stared at us for a minute, and then he said, "Don't do this to yourself and our family." It's safe to say I was confused, but I had no idea what to say. After a few more seconds, he went off. He started talking about their family name and didn't want it ruined by a little girl with a troubled past. And what would people think if they saw these images floating around on the internet? I was stunned. My wife couldn't find any words either and started crying before she just left. I didn't say a word while my father-in-law finished ranting, but 1,000 thoughts went through my head. Eventually, he stopped talking, and I still had trouble finding any words to say. I just told him, "You are sick," and I left too. My wife is destroyed after hearing what her father thinks about our daughter. We have no idea how they know about these images, as we haven't told anyone about it. I'm 100% certain my wife didn't tell them, as their relationship is not that great. My wife is closer to my mother than her own, so that wouldn't make sense. We have tried to hide this from the kids since this happened, but my older son sensed something was very wrong and asked about it. I told him our conversation with my in-laws about adopting our daughter didn't go very well and they weren't supportive. He wanted to know why. I told him I couldn't tell him, but that it was serious and promised to talk to him about it in a few years when he's an adult. And I assured him that our daughter didn't do anything wrong, our plans haven't changed, and it's my father-in-law who is being unreasonable. My son told me that our daughter told him a few months ago that she didn't think her grandparents liked her very much, especially her grandfather. This happened 2 days ago, and we haven't spoken to them since. I'm not sure I even want to try, to be honest. For me, this is going no contact worthy. I want nothing to do with them. My wife is in pieces and has mentioned that she doesn't want them in her life after this. This has tainted our adoption experience for sure. I'm afraid though that if we piss my father-in-law off even more, he will start talking to our family about these images. I realize that he will look like a terrible person in everyone's eyes, but I would like to spare our daughter from everyone knowing about what's out there. I usually talk to my mother about heavy stuff in life, but I cannot talk to her about this without feeling like I'm exposing my daughter by telling my mother more than I want to for my daughter's sake. Internet strangers. I have no idea what to do from here. How do I go about the situation with my father-in-law without creating more mess than absolutely necessary for my daughter? Edit. Just to be very clear, there's no doubt in our minds that we still want to ask for our daughter's permission to adopt her. Our relationship with our daughter will not change, no matter what my father-in-law does or does not do. I realized from the first couple of comments that it became unclear after the incident with my father-in-law. Sorry about that. Edit 2. I'm glad to see I'm not the only one hopefully reading too much into this. I think you have verified that I'm not crazy. My wife and I had a brief talk after I posted, and we have decided to talk to her brothers and sister first about my father-in-law's comments. It will be a hard conversation, but it needs to happen. Before I could get to it, my wife told me she wants to report the situation with her father, knowing about the images of our daughter. Right now, we don't know what that looks like, but it has simply not been possible for him to gain this knowledge legally. There is a culprit for sure, but we will leave that to the authorities for now. Thank you for giving me a reality check, and thank you for your encouragement. We need it right now. Update. I wasn't prepared for my last post to blow up like it did. I am so thankful for everyone's support. It can be hard to see how messy a situation is when you're in the middle of it and so emotionally involved as I am. So I appreciate everyone pointing out a lot of worrying details. These last few days have been a whirlwind. I have realized how messed up the situation is, but at the same time, people around us have shown how far they are willing to go to protect our little girl and how loved she is. I got a lot of questions and this post will be a long one, but I will answer as best as I can. I'll break things up a little for clarity. In-laws and wife siblings. My wife and I decided to cut off the in-laws completely. There is no coming back from this. We talked to her siblings about it to give them our side before they hear her father's messed up version. We told them what our daughter has been through without giving details, of course. They don't normally show emotion that much. It's just how they were raised. But even my oldest brother-in-law, who is the toughest of them, had to dry his eyes a few times during the conversation, understandably. We told them about what happened with the in-laws when we talked to them about adopting our daughter, and they were upset. They agreed that this needed to be reported, and my brothers-in-law wanted to be included in what was going on from there. Father-in-law and the legal situation. Long story short, both my mother-in-law and father-in-law went in for questioning. For now, it looks like this happened through gossip. I'm not exactly sure if the authorities have figured out all the details yet, but I will stand back and let them do their job. Some of you mentioned that child victims of these sorts of crimes are often moved to new environments for their own safety and protection. This is the case with our daughter, but if there are leakages in the system, all that work will be for nothing, and the children who are promised a second chance at a normal life will have their whole lives ruined once again. That means this is a much bigger issue than this one incident. Law enforcement are taking this very seriously, and we do trust them. Father-in-law's explanation and electronics. My brothers-in-law and I tried to talk to my father-in-law about his opinion of my daughter. He did repeat what he said the other day and doubled down. My father-in-law did use God and the Bible a lot as reasons for his opinion. I don't want to blame religion because I know a lot of religious people who are amazing human beings, and none of them would ever say gross stuff like this. My oldest brother-in-law gave my father-in-law a lecture. He was told that it's more than enough that his children think he is a misogynistic piece of trash. They don't need to think he's also a predator preying on young children. There may or may not have been a threat or two mentioned about exposure. Seriously, this man is the calmest, most loving human I have ever met. Every child in the family loves this guy. I have known him for almost 20 years, but that night he showed a side of him I had never seen before. I would have been terrified if he was in my face like he was in my father-in-law's. My father-in-law willingly gave law enforcement every single piece of electronic device to clear his name. Even every VHS tape was given up. If everything is clear, he will be given everything back, so hopefully he doesn't have anything to worry about. My lovely wife. I'm not going to lie, my wife is struggling. She is in pieces after her parents' reaction. They are wrong in every way possible and have been wrong in many other ways throughout the years, but it seems like this was her breaking point. Like she realized that there is no hope that her parents will ever become the parents she wished for. My parents have always known her relationship with her parents wasn't great, so they have stepped up for her a little differently than my siblings' partners. My wife has a good relationship with my parents, and I did give them a little heads up that there is stuff going on and my wife is struggling. My mother has been coming by every day just to check in, to talk, and to give my wife an extra hug. She made dinner a few times when we were busy, and my father has been giving the kids rides to either school or practice or games every day. They have taken a huge load of stress off my wife and me so we could concentrate on what is going on right now without worrying about the kids. After a few days, we told them how inappropriately my father-in-law had been talking about our daughter and that we are cutting them off for good. My parents are awesome and they love my wife almost as much as me. They promised her to step in, not just for the kids, but for her as well. So in time, I believe my wife will be okay. We will get through this together. My wife and her siblings. I don't like the saying, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. My wife and her siblings are the total opposites of their parents. They are amazing people and they are raising their kids to be amazing people. Their parents are not great, but they came together and broke the cycle. Sometimes the apple rolls away from the tree. The rest of the extended family, my wife and I are both close with all of our siblings, and we do live in a relatively small town where everyone knows everything about everyone because of gossip. So we sort of had to include my siblings and our siblings' spouses. We told them a very short version of what was going on, that yes, we are cutting the in-laws off because they are not supportive of our decision to adopt our daughter, and my father-in-law had said some very rude and inappropriate things about our daughter, and my mother-in-law was on his side. But out of respect for our daughter, we asked them to please not ask questions without a reason, and we encouraged everyone to come to us directly if there were any rumors or anything going on. Everyone is very supportive and they agree that our daughter deserves privacy and respect, and that the in-laws are not good people. Why we included so many people in our decision to adopt our daughter? I got a few skeptical but fair questions about why we asked for people's opinions about the adoption. I get the skepticism, and that is partially on me for not explaining that part very well. It was not so much that we wanted our extended family's opinion and approval, but more so that we knew where everyone was in regards to welcoming our daughter as a permanent member of our family. She is in her mid-teens, and we have only known her for 2 years. That's a lot of life to live before coming into our lives. It's not the same as welcoming a baby or a toddler into the family. We never got to take her to the park to play with her brothers and her cousins when she was a child. She wasn't present at family birthdays growing up. We didn't experience her first day of school. Every Christmas Eve, when we were watching Home Alone with our boys growing up, she wasn't there. All of a sudden, there's an extra teenage niece, cousin, granddaughter, and that might not come naturally to everyone. Our boys have a close relationship with my parents and their aunts, uncles, and cousins, but although everyone has welcomed and loved every single one of our foster kids, everyone knew these kids already had parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins, and our family always respected that. Our daughter has never had any of that. She was truly alone in this world when she came to us. She is now in the process of gaining a lot of family that she never had before. That's a lot to take in as a teenager. Our intent is to guide and help her as much as we can in her relationship with everyone in our family. But to do that, we need to know what kind of relationship our family is ready to have with her. That's why we asked them, and we are thankful that they are so welcoming. I know I said my wife isn't very close to her parents, but they did have a relationship before this situation started, and they would become our daughter's grandparents. I don't know if it's right or wrong to include them, given the relationship wasn't that great to begin with, but I'm glad we did, so they had the chance to show their true colors before our daughter got the chance to bond with them as her grandparents. The dark side in general. I'm going to be very vague here, partially to protect my daughter and partially because I simply don't have a lot of information. Our daughter was a part of a larger case that was uncovered a few years ago. She went through this hell for years. The FBI was all over it when these people were discovered, and the people behind this case are in prison thanks to them. The problem is that the circles that are distributing the material are very complicated. Even though a lot of the material was found and locked down back then, given the amount of material and the time span, there is just no way they got it all. Sadly, this is the case in most cases when digital material reaches these online circles that distribute it worldwide. I do want to say I have so much respect for the people working on nailing these sick individuals, as it is incredibly hard mentally to do what they do. Our daughter and this situation, I have to admit I don't know what is right and what is wrong to do about informing our daughter about what is going on, but we did ask our caseworker to have a meeting with our daughter's therapist so we can find the best way to go about this together. The four of us have had regular meetings these last 2 years to make sure we are all on the same page and work together. These people are awesome and put their hearts into what they do, so I'm sure we will figure this out as well. Our daughter's adoption process. After our daughter turned her whole life around and came out of her shell, we noticed more and more how well we fit together as a family. Don't get me wrong, my wife loves our boys, but it has been a whole new experience admiring her bonding with our daughter over girl stuff. I am a real dad jokes kind of dad. While our boys just laugh in my face when I bring my best work, our girl rolls her eyes and scoffs at me while trying to hide a smile. Our boys really know how to wrap their mother around their little finger, while I see right through them. But this girl melts my heart. Her please combined with the puppy eyes, and I am sold, while my wife is a hard ass. I guess that's what they mean when they talk about the typical difference between having boys and girls. Anyway, we brought it up with our caseworker last year that we were interested in adopting our girl. She walked us through what that would entail, and we were up for it. Our daughter has been talking to her therapist and her caseworker throughout the process of changing the verdict to available for adoption, and she knows we are wanting to adopt her. We were only waiting for the last paperwork to go through before we could ask for a court date, and she has told both of them she wants us to adopt her. After all the mess she has been through, it's important to her to have a sense of control over her own life, so we did make sure she knew it was coming. At the same time, we wanted to make this really special for her. That's why we chose to do it this way. The day after my post, our caseworker called to let us know that our paperwork had gone through. We arranged a family outing for the 5 of us. I'm not going to give too many details for our daughter's privacy, but we had such a great day together and we asked for her permission. And guess what? She said yes. We laughed, we cried. It was overwhelming. It's finally official. We are adopting her. That same night, my wife and daughter were in the living room talking while I was working in the office. My wife called me into the living room, so I went in there to talk to them, and my girl asked me, "From now on, is it okay if I call you Dad?" Man, I did not expect this. I would be absolutely okay with her continuing to use my name, but this is an honor. Of course, I said yes. I'd be honored for her to call me Dad. When I dropped her off for practice the next day, it really hit me when she, in front of her friends and all, said, "Bye, Dad, love you." I may or may not have shed a tear or two on my way home. Now we are mom and dad to 3. We don't have a court date yet, but it will probably be this summer or maybe this fall. We are thinking of having a huge adoption party when that happens, but our girl will decide what she wants when that time comes. What we do know is that we're looking forward to it regardless. College, if adopted. We have been told our daughter will lose some privileges when it comes to college tuition when we adopt her. I haven't looked too much into it yet, as we are not there yet age-wise, but it's not something we are worrying about. We make more than enough to put all our kids through college. We will look more into it when it becomes relevant. Right now, the adoption is more important than money. Adoption and the father-in-law situation. As of now, it doesn't look like my father-in-law had access to the content about our daughter. It looks like he's only a misogynistic piece of trash. And because we have gone no contact, he is a non-issue in the adoption process. If something dark comes to light, it will very possibly play a role in court. That does not mean we don't want him exposed if he is a predator. Our girl's safety is even more important than the adoption. But because we have gone no contact, it is very unlikely our daughter would ever be removed from our care. It would probably mean more of a large bump in the road on our way to adoption. Right now, all we can do is cross our fingers and wait for answers. Our sons. I will say our sons have made our daughter's recovery a whole lot more manageable. Yes, we as foster parents focused on loving our girl, and we never reprimanded her for acting out because we understood where her pain came from. but she did all the work necessary while we were supportive and gave her a nudge here and there in the right direction. But we feel like our boys have done at least as much for her as we have. They just don't know it. Our boys were initially not informed about our daughter's situation as there was no reason for it. They were informed about the physical abuse in general. No details, just enough to understand that our girl didn't like to be touched without permission. They were very respectful of her, and our youngest even felt bad for her when he hugged me or my wife in front of her because he felt like she deserved love as well. They will never fully comprehend what our girl has been through, but they will also never understand how much they have helped her by just existing around her. They have shown her what healthy relationships with family look like and what boundaries are. Our older son and our daughter are close in age, and he introduced her at school to his friend group, including her now best friend. She has observed our boys a lot during her time with us, and they have played a huge role in teaching her how to live a worry-free teenage life. This has resulted in them having such a great sibling bond, and that melts my heart. To the few people who predict that our girl will end up pregnant by one of our boys, go outside and listen to the birds sing. Read a book. Try out a new hobby. There are a lot of really interesting things in this world other than your favorite family videos on the hub. I'm sure I have forgotten a few things, and there are a few questions I cannot answer, especially when it comes to investigations and other legal stuff. And I did change a few benign details to throw people off for privacy reasons to protect our girl. If there is update-worthy stuff later, when the investigations have been concluded, I may give it, but that won't happen for at least several months. For now, I just wanted to update you guys on our girl and assure you that she is okay. Internet strangers, thank you for your support, advice, and encouragement. And most of all, thank you for caring about our girl, my wife, our family, and victims in general. The world is not that bad after all. Nymatic said, "Man, that father-in-law may not have been a predator, but he is still an abusive person all the same." To this, a deleted user said, "What he said about her, I absolutely would consider him a danger to her. One alcoholic drink when he's alone with her would be enough of an excuse. Misogynists like that consider any unmarried non-virgin to be an object for free use, not a person with trauma. What an absolute piece of trash. Vile." Dementia Donald said, "When we were kids, my brother had to go to a school for kids with behavioral issues for the second half of elementary school. There, he made a friend who was in the foster care system and was also not considered adoptable, living in a group home. They wanted to be able to hang out after school, so we all got fingerprinted and had to undergo background checks. He was eventually allowed to come over to our house and even sleep over. My parents were seriously considering adopting him, and his behavior had improved so much after frequently spending time at our house that Children's Services changed his status to conditional adoption. We live in Nebraska on the state line. The school was the next town over, but technically in a different state, and my brother's friend was in custody of that state. Fostering to adopt was going to be a very complicated and lengthy process. Before my parents made a final decision, a family in that state with experience fostering to adopt several children with behavioral issues applied. Child Services and my parents ultimately decided they were a better fit. He wasn't aware that my parents were considering it, so it wasn't like he felt abandoned by us or anything when it fell through. I only knew because my sister and I were teenagers at the time, so my parents had included us in that discussion. We were obviously on board. It's crazy how much the littlest bit of love and patience from one family changed this kid's entire life. All he needed were people who genuinely cared about him to thrive, and that breaks my heart. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, Gamersupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.